How's it guys, Munash here, and today we finally have some rank 3 Warlock gameplay. Now Warlock is a champ that I kind of forgot about. Well, not really forgot about, but I just haven't been using him that much lately over the past few months. Although there hasn't been that much content because I used to use him for stuff like Act 6 mostly. And just as a general mutant slayer, although lately I've been using Guardian for that. But now that I have him as a 6-star and a rank 3 6-star, I probably will use him a lot more because he does feel significantly stronger than my maxed 5-star. I did use him as a rank 2 6-star for one path for my Act 7 legend run. It was the variant 2 path, so I needed an exile champ. And that's pretty much the only time I've used him before the gameplay you're gonna see today. I haven't had him for that long though, I only pulled him about 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I was quite chuffed with the pull because my tech roster could really use a boost, especially the 6-stars. And before I took him to rank 3, tech was the only tier 5 class that I had never farmed before. Which I didn't mind at the time because I didn't have any really good tech champs, but then I pulled Warlock and that just completely changed. I started prioritizing on tech and just hoping to get that tier 5C. Then I explored Act 7.1 and chose tech from the 25% tier 5 class selector. Then I opened another tier 5 class for 25% and I actually got another tech. 1 in 6 chance and I got the class that I wanted. So yeah, I was pretty stoked about that, and now I have a rank 3 Warlock. So yeah, happy days. Happy days. Because in case you didn't know, maybe you're fairly new to the game or you just live under a rock or something, but Warlock is a pretty good champ. The best robot in my opinion. And I know a few people who will even say he is the best tech champ. But I'm not going to get into that today. For this video, we're just going to take Warlock into Act 6 Chapter 4.3. And I'm going to bring him onto the Clapback path. So yeah, I'm going to bring Ultron for the Robot Uprising synergy. Because that'll basically allow you to gain a Fury buff equal to 60% of your attack whenever you're immune to something. So Warlock is immune to bleed, poison and cold snap. And his heavy attack does apply a bleed, so with Clapback, that bleed will basically get reflected back to me. And that'll trigger the Fury buff, so it's a nice interaction with Warlock. And besides the extra attack, it's also pretty handy if you're going to be doing stuff like Caustic Temper. Okay, so I'm going to get onto the Clapback path, and first we have Sabretooth, and this is my favorite matchup for Warlock in the game. Just because he's constantly regenerating. And that allows Warlock to basically be able to power drain him throughout the fight as long as you have 1 infection on him. And that just makes the fight more fun because you can somewhat cheese it to a certain extent by spamming heavy attacks and connecting specials after that. So yeah, you'll see that just now. So I go in and parry, and because I do have suicides on right now, I do immediately get the Fury buff because I am immune to the bleed from double edge. Also drop a heavy attack early to lower his regen with despair, although it's really not needed for this fight. And we're already doing 10k mediums from the get-go with that Fury buff. So now I can get him to 1 infection very quickly, and that will basically just shut down his regen. And I was going to be power drained throughout the fight. Then after the special 2, I can actually chain my heavy attack to that without him punishing it. Then I can just drop 2 more heavy attacks, and damn, 40k heavy. That is not bad at all. That fight didn't even last 30 seconds. 255,000 health, not even 30 seconds. But that is what you call an ideal matchup for Warlock, and a very favorable one. But yeah, I love fighting Sabretooth with Warlock. And now I'm going to move on to Sunspot. And I'm actually going to skip this fight because I just took it with Corvus, since it would be basically the same as Sabretooth 1 if I used Warlock. Just not as cheesy because he doesn't regen, but yeah. And now we're going to move on to Stealth Suit Spider-Man, who has Aggression Regen. He also has Enhanced Precision and Catch This, so those two don't really matter as long as you don't get hit. Then of course he has Clapback and Feats of Power like every other champ on the path. Okay, so I'm going to go in, and basically I want to do full combos because he can evade and punish me if I'm not too careful. So I'm going to do shortened combos and perhaps even drop a heavy attack sometimes. And yeah, once I get that infection on, I don't have to worry about aggression regen anymore. And also I like to bait the evade. Then I can start doing full combos. And then once he is in the corner, I can start parry heavying a bit more. Maybe just spam those heavy attacks a bit. Although he does have a little bit of pushback on that heavy attack Warlock, so you can't always just spam heavy attacks in the corner. I wish you could, it would be a lot more fun. But yeah, it's not really a big deal, I think. And I'm going to drop a special 2 now. And then follow up with the heavy attack because, you know, he won't have more than 1 bar of power. And yeah, then I can just finish him off pretty comfortably. So that fight took 31 hits in about 50 seconds. So yeah, I really do like Warlock's infection mechanic. I believe it is the strongest form of heal block in the game. Because it's passive, nobody is immune to it, and it's very easy to apply and maintain. But it also has some other cool properties to it, like how it lowers ability accuracy, while offensive ability accuracy by 30% for each infection. And then it also has that slow passive power drain whenever the opponent would be regenerating. So now I'm going to move on to Vision Aarkus, and he has enhanced armor break and energize, but it's for both champs, so this can make the fight a little bit easier. And Warlock is actually a decent Aarkus counter. He might not be the best, but he can get the job done pretty well. Main thing is he is immune to cold snap, so that's not really a problem for him. He still does get the armor break. That's not a big issue, you know, as long as you don't get hit. And then you just need a base special 1 for this one. I mean, you can drain his power as well, but I mean, for damage, special 2 is a lot better. And ideally, I would like to end the fight relatively quickly because Aarkus is one of those champs where you don't want the fight to linger just due to his power gain, especially if he doesn't want to throw special attacks. So in this fight, I am going to block a couple of his special 2s just because of the power gain node. But in a more standard Aarkus matchup without any additional power gain, I would be able to bait his special 1 a lot more. So that fight still took less than 50 seconds, and the increased power gain helped with that. Although I did take a bit more damage due to blocking his special 2, and I think I used 2 special 2s in that fight, so I took a bit of recoil damage as well. But now what I'm going to do in the next few fights is focus a bit more on getting up my health a bit. So now we have Vision, and he has Poison, Stun, and Power Bond. So not much to worry about there for Warlock. He is obviously poison immune. The only thing is with Power Bond, I can't rely on his power drain, which really isn't an issue for this fight. You don't need power control, just bait specials. So yeah, this Vision probably is max sig because he gained a bar of power and a half. So after 1 combo, it goes to 2 bars. And this fight is going to be a little bit longer than the previous ones because I'm not going to be relying on the special 2 for damage anymore. Instead, I'm going to use a special 3 because that can actually heal Warlock for 1602 health. And if you have the recovery mastery maxed, then it's 1843 for each infection. Throw the special 3 and then watch him shapeshift into this iguana looking creature. He literally sucks you in, and it sounds like he swallows you and then spits you out, or chunders you out. That is a little bit on the nasty side when you think about it. But he is a robot. I'm sure his intestines or lack of are pretty clean anyway. And you gotta admit, he does have some pretty quirky animations, and that's just one thing that makes him such a lovable character. I just find his visual design very interesting. He is an extra large champ, but he doesn't look or feel like any of the other extra large champs. He actually has a much slimmer build, which makes him resemble a medium champ a bit more. But he's still a lot larger or taller than all the medium champs, so yeah, it makes sense. So I can throw another special 3 before he goes down, but he does only have 9% health, so I actually don't want to get the bonus damage from the special 3. Cool, so now it's at 2% and I get an extra 5% health, and I can just take him down. Usually when I use Warlock for anything serious, I often don't use the special 3. In fact, I actually forget that it can even regen. But that's because I usually wouldn't use him for clearing an entire path, or even doing several fights on one path, like today. Also, I usually don't run suicides, so I usually wouldn't have to worry about the recoil damage. Although Warlock is very suicide friendly. So I'm going to skip Agent Venom because that's another fight I used Corvus for. And now we have Gwenpool with enhanced armor break and enhanced bleed. So once again, I'm going to use this fight to heal up Warlock a little bit, because I am going to use him for the Darkhawk boss as well. So I would like to get a little bit more health for that fight. Without using items, of course. So yeah, just the usual thing, you know, parry, full combos. Just pull up to the special 3. Bait your own specials, of course. And I did forget to throw in the heavy attacks here to get the extra damage from Clapback. And maybe that's a good thing, because it also just shows you that, you know, even without the extra damage, he is still pretty good. Still can put up some solid numbers. Then before throwing the special 3, make sure I get 2 infections on her. So this should take me back up to 82% health, which is pretty good. Considering all the recoil I've taken throughout the quest. And yeah, just all the general block damage. Get her to a corner with low power, then I can start spamming heavy attacks. And Warlock can do some pretty good damage with the heavy attacks. It's also quite good for Abyss because it only does 1 hit, so yeah, you get to save up some hits on that. And that's basically what allows him to solo Abyss Havoc. Just the heavy attack dealing only 1 hit, and having decent bleed damage. So now we have Proxima Midnight with Enhanced Special 1, Stupefy, and Power Drain. So one more Warlock fight to get him up a little bit more. Again with class disadvantage, but really shouldn't be a problem. Just gonna do the usual thing. And this time I do throw in some heavy attacks. And I think while I was doing this quest, I didn't even throw the heavy attack to get the Fury buff. I just threw it to put bleeds on her. Then I just gotta keep baiting the special 1. Unblockable, but really not that difficult to dex. I'm not actually really trying to bait it. She is just throwing it very eagerly. Also, it is worth mentioning that I am running max deep runes right now, as I usually do. You might think it might not make such a big difference for Warlock. You know, he's not the strongest bleed champ, but it does add up, you know, especially in longer fights or any fight where you can spam a lot of heavy attacks. But the bleed itself, without looking at the damage, is still a nice piece of utility to have. It allows him to do stuff like Do You Bleed, Polka Dot Power, or counter certain champs like Thing or Invisible Woman. And it's good that it's on the heavy attack because at least it's controlled. Because you typically wouldn't want to use it on a node like Cornered or maybe an immune champ with empowered immunity, you know. So yeah, I think they did a really good job with Warlock's design overall. They gave him a lot of utility with all these bits of pieces that add up to make him a great champ. And the damage it's good, but it's not like crazy or great or, you know, overpowered or anything like that. He does feel very balanced. So now this Proxima is about to go down, who is the last fight on this path before the mini-boss, and Warlock is at 89% health. So that is pretty efficient. Then we just have the Dormammu mini-boss with Footloose and Split Atom, which I just quaked, so I am gonna skip that as well. I mean, that's not a good matchup for Warlock anyway, especially with the 50% attack reduction, but he can actually do it, in theory at least. But it just wouldn't be very fun, and it would take long, so I don't recommend that. So now we're just gonna move over to the Darkhawk boss, who has Force of Will, Hurt Locker, Power Efficiency, and Lionheart, so there won't be any ability accuracy reduction in this fight first of all. Although, I'm not sure if Warlock can actually bypass Force of Will, because I have seen him do it before. But this was a time when he was still bugged. It was actually about a year ago, when he was still lowering all forms of ability accuracy, not just offensive. And I remember during that time, he was borderline broken. There was very little that he couldn't do, especially with the cable synergy, because then you get a 50% chance to gain 2 infections instead of 1. So he could just shut down so many nodes and abilities, quite similar to Quake or Archangel. But then he also had all this other great utility on top of that. But anyway, Darkhawk fight. So the fight actually did crash, so I had to reload the game. And I'm just gonna go in and do usual combos, maybe beta special 1 or special 2. Doesn't really matter at this stage. If I'm trying to avoid block damage, then I'll beta special 2. But if I want to make the fight easier, then special 1 is actually better. The only thing is it does do a lot of block damage, based on his attack of course. But yeah, once he gets to almost 3 bars of power, then I do need to beta special 2. And that'll put him into stealth mode, so now I can miss with my basic hits. As you can see right here, I wanted to throw a special 2, but I missed with that last hit, so I did throw a special 1 because I didn't have enough power. And he blocked that of course, so yeah, that was a bit of a waste. But still, I'm not too worried about it. At least now it's no longer in stealth mode. So I can go back in with full combos, but now I have to beat another special 2 before he gets 3 bars of power. And I can't use the special 1 to power drain because of Hurt Lock. I had to cycle between my special attacks. Unless I can, you know, heavy or knock him down very quickly. But yeah, I just want to bait another special 2. And he is not throwing it as I want him to. Now I'm in a corner, which isn't fun against Darkhawk, especially when you can miss. But fortunately now I do have 2 bars of power. So I can throw that special 2. Which does apply some armor breaks. And that puts him into shield mode, so he will trigger that regen. Which is fun because I do have him heal blocked, so he will just get power drained a little bit. And now he's no longer in shield mode, so I can do my usual crit damage. And not worry about getting auto blocked. So now I can also just drop a special 1 with 2 infections, which does apply a decent power drain. And the last thing about shield mode compared to stealth mode is that the shield mode doesn't last as long as the stealth mode. So yeah, this is another fight that Warlock isn't really perfect for. He isn't an ideal counter or anything like that. But he can work for it. And he can get it done pretty comfortably. So now he's almost at 3 bars of power again, so I do need to bait a special 2. And what I didn't even realize is I probably could have actually pushed him to 3 bars of power and then threw my special 2, because that would knock him down, put him into shield mode, which will cause him to regen, and when he regens with an infection, he will just get power drained. So I actually could have played this one a little bit better. But I'm just going to bait another special 2 and then drop my own. Because special attacks can't miss against Darkhawk. So yeah, that is pretty safe. And now I'm going to wait for shield mode to go down, so I am going to back up a bit. Then do the usual dex parry or dex then parry to prevent him from throwing special attacks. Just gotta hold block before you dex. Then I can drop a full combo. Then a special 1 to power drain. So now he isn't infected, so I want to make sure that I can get him up to once again 20 viruses before he throws special 2. Which shouldn't be too difficult with dex and parry. Okay, then he does throw the special 2 back into stealth mode. So I just gotta be a bit more careful. Parry 1 or 2 hits, so I can't get punished after missing. Although I can do 3 hits without getting punished if I'm quick enough. And then just bolt to the special 2 once again. And the special 2 does take him out. So yeah, this one took about 4 minutes. Not my fastest kill against this champ. I've done it with several different champs, but Warlock was a very comfortable one. You know, he managed the fight pretty well. Didn't have to worry too much about the regen, and he power controlled him to a certain extent fairly decently, I would say. I lost about 50% health in this fight, but half of that was just recoil damage. So yeah, I'm really happy with this rank up. I'm sure he'll serve me very well, and hopefully I will get to use him in Alliance War this season. But either way, I'll probably still make more rank 3 Warlock videos. And I just realized that I forgot to speak about his awakening ability. But I guess that should tell you that he doesn't really need it. Still has all his utility without it. Although it is nice to have, just to do a bit more damage via the degen. I would be really happy to dupe him, because A, he's got good prestige, and it's just a rank 3 dupe. I mean, most of my rank 3s are still unawakened, so it would be really nice to dupe some of them. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.